are going to start this video out by stepping back a couple of steps. I screwed up yesterday. When I concluded yesterday's video, I had the body on the chassis, but I forgot. I don't know why. The back wall of the body needed to be welded across the bottom and around the tunnel. I hadn't done it yet. I kept thinking I'll get to it before I put it on. I can't reach it once it's on the chassis because it sits right in here and all that stuff's in the way. So I need to get in there, weld everything from the inside, cut, go on the back side, weld what I can there, get it all attached, and then I've got to seam seal it so that it doesn't leak inside the cab. Yeah. Oops. But that being said, I probably need to do some other things underneath there too. I think I'll weld a couple of those clips up underneath the tunnel. It's going to give me a nice place to attach these. Probably be easier to do it without the drive shaft in the way. So, yeah. Oh, I got the AC compressor done too. I'll say AC, it's now an air compressor. So I pulled it all apart, got everything greased inside since there's no longer going to be oil. There's the oil passage in here. I plugged it, got it rotated around so all of my fittings are in the right location. I've got a different T coming. I ordered the wrong one. I thought I was going to be able to have these point down, but I can't. So this is going to go like that. See if I can put my hand in a different position. It'll go like that. That fill will be over there, and then I'll have a 90 come down and attach to the hose. Yeah, it'll work just fine. Once that is connected and the controls are connected, air system will be complete. Oh, I take that back. We got one other thing. So I got that, the controls, and I'm waiting for my pop-off valve. It goes in over there at that T. Once the pop-off valve is here, that just keeps things from over-pressurizing. Not that air compressor, I blow a line probably before I blew my tank, but we'll just have it pop off at like 130. The shut-off valve is set for 90 to 120, and the pop-off valve will set it at like 130. Air compressor should be able to hit like 300, you know, based upon what you see in the air compressor lines, but, or not air compressor, but the AC lines. But I don't want it to get that high. Some of my lines are rated for less than that, obviously, the plastic ones. But other than that, I guess we'll also have the chassis off. I'll do the shock bolts. They need to be done. But we're going to get that welding done, get everything put back together, get us back on to square one. Goals for this video: body back on, obviously. And then I want to get the front fenders on, the headlights mounted, so that all of that structural fabrication is done. And that'll just leave me with some body work. And then we want to get into the wiring. If I can get the wiring done, we should have everything here to get her to be a runner. Coolant line, you know, we went over everything yesterday. Coolant lines are done. This is for those that are just catching up. Coolant lines are done, fuel lines are done, brake lines are done. Air we just went over. Hydraulic fluid lines are done for the cooler, transmission cooler. So with the wiring, that should get us to be a runner. And then from there, I can go through and start finishing up all these details. And that should at least get us to the show. So let's get to it. All right, time for the what was, what is, and what will be. I got the body hanging. No, for all you people thinking bad things, not a body. This body, the Jeep body. We'll go underneath. I got it hanging. So we got some seam sealer That's probably a rat rod no-no, but I drive this thing in Florida, or will be, and I feel that it's probably going to get wet, and so I don't want water. I also don't want exhaust. The exhaust is going to sit right in this area, and I don't want fumes collecting in here at idle and yeah, gassing me out. I folded the seam underneath, just beat it down. I didn't really spend a lot of time with it, but it adds just a little bit more strength. I should probably take a grinder and clean up there just to make things neater, but as you can see, it's coming together. Still need to deal with this section back here. Not positive what I'm going to do, so I'm going to ignore it. But for the third or fourth time, I can't remember at this point, we're going to put this on that and hope it's the last time. But everything is done underneath. Like I said, I'll take a grinder, clean up real quick. I've been cleaning up top, but I think we're ready to put it down. The chassis itself, I've got the pop-off valve is installed. All of the air lines except for the ones going to the controls are in. We've got pretty much everything we need to on the transmission at this point. AC or air compressors all hooked up. We got our plumbing. Our hose came in. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I think it's going to work. So we'll leave it for now. You know, maybe if we get spunky and have time, I'll cut this down a little bit and weld and do everything to move it. But for now, that's what we got. So, oh, darn it. I need to take a quick video for the judges. So I'm going to move this back out from underneath the body. We'll take our quick judge video so they can see it. And then we'll put the body on it, start driving on. Getting excited. We're getting close. Making progress. Yo, it's Monday morning. We're back at it. Got to come up with a decent game plan on what I need to do next. I know I talked about doing front fenders and getting the headlights on it, but as usual, I think I'm going to change my mind and go a different direction. We'll turn this way. What I'm thinking of doing is getting the steering ironed out, and then working on the wiring. If I get the wiring done, it should be able to be started. If I can steer it, all the systems should be able to be connected. I should be able to have brakes, fuel, air ride. All my air ride's got a problem when I feed it from the compressor, because I put that remote fill on it. My check valve is not working, so it's going into the tank and then bleeding right back out through the compressor. I always suspected that would be an issue, so I put a check valve in it, and for some reason it's not working. It worked when I checked it by back feeding the system, and it worked fine. Why it's not working now, I don't know. Really sucks too, because it's in a horrible location to get to when the rig's together. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But right now the airbags are filled up. I just couldn't let them back down and refill them. So that's a problem. We got to deal with it. But if I can get all of the wiring done, all of the systems connected, we can have it as a runner, and then I can finish the front fenders, finish fabbing up the headlight brackets. You know, the wiring harness will be there. Then it'll just be a matter of connecting the tail lights and minor details, and then we'd have a complete driver. Not just a neighborhood driver, but a street driver. We still got seats to do and different things like that. So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to move the steering wheel. Should be pretty simple. I say that now. These two bolts, I'm going to loosen them. There's one more bolt down there, and then the whole steering column would come out. There's not much to it. Everything else is already disconnected. But once we do that, then I can take and re-drill a hole up here and reset Where this comes through up here, we'll drill a 3-inch hole. There's another bolt up here that we can mount this bracket to and retighten that, and that should fix my angle issue, because right now it's going down, and then it's got to go up and then over and down, and that's going to give it some really vague steering feel trying to go through all of them U-joints. Just the little slop and angle changes will make you feel like you just don't have any connection to the front wheels. This thing's already going to steer a little odd because of how wide the rear is in comparison to the front. And so as you get different drive in the rear, it's going to want to shimmy a little bit, I have a feeling. It's why like go-karts and stuff have a wider front track than rear. When the rear's narrow, it helps it drive through the corner a little better. I'm not going to be able to do that. This thing's going to push. But no big deal. So let's get the steering knocked out. If I can get the right angle, I actually think we might be able to one-shot it with the straight piece of one single double D shaft. If not, then we've got the joints and everything to put a little bend in it. But let's see what we can get done. Oh, hey guys, you're back. So I'm working on wiring. I was working on steering, and I did get the column moved, but I thought I could sneak by and only do 2 universals, and I can't. I'm gonna need 3. I wanted to avoid them if I could, but just not happening. So I'm gonna have to order another one and do something different. It also ended up in conflict, it looks like, with the fuel lines. I haven't 100% said, yeah, that's going to be the case. But right now it looks like it's going to be not a big deal. I'll just have to make some new ones. I'll have to double check if I got everything. But if I don't, I'll only need like 1 fitting or something. I've got most of it. But now what I'm going to do is go through, unwrap this harness. This is the main fuse harness, and from there we'll start tracing out wires and verifying what goes to what, separating out the circuits I need. I don't need a lot. We need like 6, I think it was. We need an engine circuit. It's going to send power to the ECM, and you know, we need ignition, that kind of thing. So I think there's maybe 3 that go to there. I need tail lights, backup lights. We need power to the fan, but that's already got its own relay. We're going to need a relay for the air compressor, and we got turn signals, headlights. I mean, so really not many, and all of them are already in here. We got all of them that we need. I've just got to figure out what wire's going in and what wire's coming out, and then determine if I need the special back that they use. This is where it went through the firewall on the S10, and if I can get rid of it, I will, and then just mount this separately. I don't really need the firewall mount. I've got it, but it's just going to make it real bulky. If I can get back to just this piece, that would be good. This piece here, the front one. Front to me, your left, my right. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to continue on pulling this apart. Oh, I did check on the remainder of our brake system, proportioning valve, all that good stuff. It's going to fit. We need to tweak a couple of lines just barely. Should bolt right up. Air compressor, I think, I don't know if I mentioned. Oh yeah, I did. I think I mentioned the back flow preventers giving me issues. We'll have to get it fixed. The Hydro Boost lines, I've got everything to make them. They just need to be put in place, but I'm not going to do it till after the steering. And the brake stuff's all in place, because then I can snake them through and make them fit a little easier. The controls, airbag controls, are working. I just got to figure out why that I don't know if it got trash in it or what. Maybe I didn't have the lines blown clean enough. But that's where we're at. I'm going to start working on wiring and all of that good stuff. We'll keep moving forward. All right, I got a lot of everything kind of sorted out. Went through my ignition switch, marked everything. I've got the fuse panel all separated into its circuits. Now I've just got to figure out how to power everything using it. Some of it's pretty easy. Like this bundle here is ignition, turn back up, ECM ignition. So if you feed the pink wire from your ignition switch, then all of these others will turn on. So you'd have power going to your turn and your backup light. So you'd send power to your turn signal switch. You'd send power to your backup switch. And then when you operate those, it'll send power back to the lights. Pretty easy. Your ECM ignition, it would just go straight from here right to the ECM and power up everything. Typically, in my case, that'll probably be the fuel pump. It'll be the ECM itself, maybe a couple other things. Some of the others, this is your ECM battery. So there's always power going to the battery, to the ECM to keep up your, anything that needs memory. Your tail courtesy lights, the horn, all of those are powered through here. So if I put power to the red, straight from the battery, and then the other wires will go out to the ECM, to the tail lights through the switch. So your light switch, when you pull it on, this should have power to it, and then it goes back out through the light switch to the tail lights. And then obviously you got power goes up to the horn, you hit the button, the horn goes off. Ground is all handled through the chassis and the body. Both of those are grounded back to the battery. The one I haven't figured out yet, there's a bundle for instrument lights. I got power out and power in. So one wire comes from the light switch, and then the other light goes out to the instrument lights. Pretty easy. This is I'm not sure what this one is. It was connected into everything, but it really didn't go anywhere inside the fuse panel. And then I have these two. They've come apart. But this is my power accessories and my headlights. Stop, headlights, and power accessories. It had a whole bunch of wires connected to it, but I don't see how it was supposed to be powered in and powered out. So I got to look into that. I don't know if the headlights were power constantly to the headlights with a negative ground on the switch. That's possible. In which case, then power would have just been routed in here to feed the accessories. So, and then it would split off from there, because there were a couple of jumpers on some of these. And then from there, you would feed accessories, and then you would feed your stop lights in the back. So you would have a Y somewhere in the system that I cut out. That's a possibility. But that's the basics of it. So we've gotten rid of the majority of the harness. I still have one other section to cut off, at least the end, and then I'll put some weather packs on it and connect it in inside. What I need to do now is figure out where I'm going to mount this. All these wires should fold down neatly at some point once we get everything done. And then we're just going to have 2 screws on a backer, and it'll go in there somewhere. I got to figure that out yet. Maybe have to just make an L bracket or something. Pretty simple. I think the next thing I'm going to do is lay in the engine harness and computer and all of that, and kind of start getting it routed where it needs to go. And then I got to figure out where I'm mounting gauges and make my gauge pod. So, but big strides today. Once I get all of these placed, then it's just a matter of connecting wires and running them to their appropriate destination and not screwing it up, because it sucks when I cross wire something and it just don't work. But for now, I got to go get my son, take him back to the house, all that good stuff. He's in football, so let's get to it. All right. When I last left you, I was over there working on stripping out the wiring harness. That was last night before dinner, and then I went and got my son, came back, and I ended up working the late shift and started putting in, laying in the engine harness. Now, it's a bit of a mess right now. We've got things kind of everywhere, but it is all plugged in. So we'll relume it and get it all neatened up. We still need to connect all the grounds and the power wires, but I needed to make sure I knew what I was missing, find anything that was broken, that kind of stuff. Like we need, there's a sensor in here that I need to order. It is a water temp sensor. It triggers inside the ECM. So I've got it coming. Should be here Thursday. We've got a couple other things that we need to wire in. I need to get a power wire run for there. We'll need a relay for that. And there's a couple other little things that need to be worked on still. But it is coming together. Before I get too far with wiring on the inside, I need to take care of my brake pedal, and that's going to involve getting the torch in here and getting that hot and bending it down. I've got the computer in here. I need to make a bracket for it, and then that way it can be permanently mounted. The fuse box is going to ride over there, up out of the way, and basically that's going to let me put all of the wiring up underneath the dash and get it zip tied up out of the way and whatnot, and then we'll be able to plug all the holes in the firewall. So for right now, I'm going to get the torch out. We're going to fix the brake pedal, and then from there I can start working on getting the fuse panel in, and we'll start making all of the power connections and start working at getting things closer to being fired up. Exciting stuff. Alright, let's see if I can do this without burning my vehicle down. I'm gonna heat it from this side. Got a piece of pipe jammed up in there. Try to keep from so that the brake pedal won't depress the whole way. But we're gonna try to heat this up and then bend it down. I have a better angle on it. Sorry, I'm concentrating, trying not to burn things. Getting much anywhere. I got it bent over a little bit. Not really what I wanted. There we go. And it broke. Damn it. Now we're gonna have to weld it. Alright, so I've been standing here for hours, I guess. Been over there a little bit too, but I'm working on getting the last little bit of power feed set up for the fuse box. Show you guys in a little more detail here in a second. This is a jumper. Almost, come on. All right, so bring you down here a little easier. All right, here's the fuse box. I've got all of the wires going out to different feeds, labeled and separated. These are going to go with those. I need to put them in there. These are power feeds, so these are going to go to a bus. Basically, it's got 12-volt power going to them all the time. And that goes to things like your headlight switch, your brake light switch, ECM battery, some other things like that. Your horn, all of those things that work even when your key is off. And then all of these that are on this relay, it's a 200 amp 12 volt DC relay, solid state. All of those are only on when the key is on. So that's your ECM ignition, your turn signals, your gauges, things like that. Wipers, radio, all the things that you want to turn off when the key is off. And then this jumper that I just made will go from the relay to the bus. So there'll be power going in, and then these will be the triggers. So the trigger, one side will be ground, and then the other side will be power that comes from the ignition switch. When you turn it to the run, it'll connect this, it'll give it the signal to close, it'll close, and then power will jump across this and feed everything in there. And then we've got crank signal and some other stuff that that will go through here up to the ignition switch, and all of that stuff going out to all the various systems. So what I'm getting ready to do now, I've already got the bus in there. I'll show you that once I get things a little more installed. But I'm getting ready to install the fuse box, getting ready to install the relay. We'll start setting up for the other relay. I got one for the fuel pump, and then we're going to have one more. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Oops, what happened to you? We'll have one more relay for the fuel pump, and I'll have one for the air compressor. I need to set those two up, and should be good. After that, as far as relays, we got the fan, fuel pump, AC compressor, and then obviously the big one, the 200 amp. And while those are failure points within the system, they do a lot more to protect things. You don't have to worry about fuses and burning them down. And they're easy enough to check. You know, you just jump across a relay from the contacts. If things turn on, then you know your relay's bad. And pretty much you can buy them anywhere. You know, or you can temporarily jump it. And it's probably what I'd do is just carry a jumper with me. Just put it in the spare box, and if something happens, click, I'm good to go. But at any rate, let's get all this installed and then get moving. Good morning, everybody. Progress is being made. I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's dark 30. I've been putting in some hours trying to get some progress, just pecking away at this wiring. But we're closer. It took me forever to figure out the blinkers and some of this other stuff. I don't have wiring diagrams for a lot of it, or at least I didn't start with them. I've searched up and found some here and there and just kind of piecing it together. So let me show you what I've got. So underneath, sorry, we've got things in place. It's starting to look a little bit like a spaghetti mess under there. I will be cleaning it up. But we have, check that out. You see it down there? Yeah. We got turn signals. And listen, I've got crank. So we've got ignition. I now need to wire up the fuel pump relay, the air compressor relay. I've got to connect ignition power to the fan relay. And it seemed to me there was one other relay that I needed to do. There's 4. Oh, the ignition relay is already in. So that's a 200 amp ignition relay. It's already wired and functional. So we've got fuel, fan, air compressor, 4 total. And then I need to get power over to the ECM battery and power over to ECM ignition. There's a couple of wires in the ECM wiring that we need to fix. The wire to the injector 5 and 7. And there's a trinary switch, oil pressure switch that's coming in. I need to kind of correct its wiring. The water pressure sensor, or not water pressure, water temperature sensor should be in today. We'll get it installed and connected. And that should get us pretty close. Oh, I got headlights. We got headlights and running lights are also connected. Wipers work. Yeah. Who would have thunk? Well, hold on. There we go. 2 speeds. Of course, when I do the chop, I'm gonna have to cut those down. I was looking at it and doing some measurements, and I think I can cut the arms down. It won't cover the whole windshield with the arms down, cut down, but it'll at least cover a little bit of it. So we're gonna keep them. I'll make something out of them work. I don't know how effective it will be. It's not really an all-weather vehicle. It's waterproof. It should be pretty close. It shouldn't leak too bad. It'll have a top on it, but I live in Florida. It's going to get rained on. But that's where we're at. I'm going, oh, I also got the wiring, the switch for park neutral safety. All of that is fixed, reverse. So I need to wire all of that in. Then we'll have reverse lights, my safety switch, which like on the buggy I don't have. It'll start in any gear. So if you're in reverse and you fire it up, it'll go. I don't want this one to do that since it's a street vehicle, and the chance of accidentally running into somebody or something is a little bit higher. So we are going to wire in the safeties. I don't have it wired in right now, but I just need to cut into that circuit, run it over to the switch, and back out to the start, and the safety will be installed. Oh, we got to run a wire from the ignition coil to the ignition power. Still a lot to wire, but we're getting there, and the projects are getting smaller and smaller. Haven't figured out the horn yet. I've got it all wired in terms of I know where power is going, but the horn button doesn't work. I'm not sure what's missing in it. Looks like there's springs and some different things that should be there that are not. So I got to mess with it. But we also have the steering part showing up today that I was missing. So if things go well, we may end up by Saturday. Today's Wednesday, Thursday? Today's Thursday. Maybe by Saturday we got a driver? I don't know. All I can do is keep pushing at it. And I asked my buddy, hopefully he can come over this weekend and help me get a couple of projects knocked out on this thing. I'm down to like 19 days, and a little nervous that I'm not going to finish. But we're going to give it everything we got. I've been working from 6 a.m. till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night trying to get things moving. So let's get on it. All right. Well, I'm back under here working on the turn signals again. Mistakes were made. A couple of mistakes have happened, actually. The brake light switch circuit, I just flat out eliminated it because don't need that, right? Wrong. I do need it. I misread and whatnot. I don't know if I'm tired or what the case was, but I did it wrong. And so we're fixing that. But basically, I had power going in the wrong spot. So I had turn signals, but I didn't have any way to interrupt that signal for the brakes. So I'm fixing that now. Once it's fixed, then we should have brake lights, turn signals, backup lights, running lights, headlights, indicator lights up here in the dash. We should have power for our gauge lights. I still have to wire gauges, but I've got to get them in place first. We've got the start circuit. I do need to connect the interrupt for the shifter, which you guys can't see. And then we got to run the power over to the ECM and correct those things. And then one of my other mistakes is I had done some wiring on the chassis, as you know, earlier. And when I put my weather pack connector in, I had it reversed. So I had black to white and white to black, which meant that it was blowing fuses, because when I put power to my white wire, it was going direct to ground, and my black wire was what my power wire is supposed to be. So gonna have to fix that, and then yeah, we'll move on. Nothing like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Some days it's just the way it is when you're a dumbass. So let's get to it. What's up, everybody? It is dark 30 again. You can see outside my shop, and we're still out here working. Lots of progress made today. I got a lot of the computer stuff ironed out. It's gonna have to be tied up, obviously, up above. I've got the computer sitting down here right now, but I have all of the power connected to it. I've got to connect the ground to the grounding bus over there. We got a couple other little odds and ends in the computer system to iron out. I'm not positive that it needs a VSS signal, but they're reasonably inexpensive. I think I'm going to go ahead and get one. We'll put it in. So that has to be wired in. Not a big deal. I just received today the temperature sensor for the coolant. Need to install it. It's simply just install it and plug it in. It's already wired. The low oil pressure sensor is here. I had a little bit of trouble with fittings, but I got all that ironed out. Now I just need to install all the fittings, and then I need to wire the sensor back in to the system. I moved where the relay was, and so I've got to wire in that relay. I got most of it done, but the signal needs to be wired in, and then the feed from the computer. And I need to change that because I've got it feeding from the bus right now, or from another source, 12 volt source, and it's supposed to get 12 volt from the computer so that it gets feedback, whatnot. We need to wire in all the gauges, and seems to me there's one other thing that needs to be done. I need to tidy up all the wiring, but I was going to wait until after. I need to do the grounds to the block and the ground from the chassis to the body to make sure that I have a complete ground circuit. Everything seems to be working fine so far, but it's always good just to make sure, in case, you know, right now if I got fresh metal, corrosion, all that good stuff, time, that we don't run into problems. That being said, all of my lighting circuits seem to work. I've got blinkers, brake lights. You know, only took me 3 times to get through the blinkers. Running lights, headlights. I've got power up there, and I know that it swaps between high beam, low beam. I just need to, I haven't put bulbs in it because I got to make the brackets to hold my housings up and all that good stuff. But once we get that done and we get the housings rewired, we'll be able to have light bulbs. And then, yeah, we're moving right along. But before I can start it, because that would be the next step, we need to take care of a bunch of engine stuff. It needs spark plug wires put in. It needs the steering connected so that I can have fluids in the steering before I fire it up. It needs fuel. We need transmission fluid, but I don't know that I ever checked the transmission pan bolts. So I need to make sure that those are tight. I've got a dipstick in it. I need to work on either getting the plug in the kickdown cable location or the kickdown cable in. I was having trouble with the kickdown cable before because it doesn't reach all the way to the throttle body. It's set up for a carburetor, which is midway on the engine. Throttle body's all the way at the front of the engine. But it occurred to me I can connect it to the throttle pedal as well. In that case, I do have room for it, but I need to cut a hole and do some other stuff to make sure I can get it in there and then get it connected properly. So I need to look at that, what I need to do for it. After that, we've got a bunch of just littler stuff, smaller stuff, but still important. We need seats. We need fenders, we need the body panels fixed, I need the top on it, we got painting to do. I'll get a whole list together. But for now, I'm going to finish painting the dipstick. I'm going to connect this ground to get the computer grounded. And probably prepare a little bit for tomorrow. But otherwise, I'm out. So we'll catch you tomorrow. Alright guys, it's been a long week. As you've seen, I've done nothing but wire, and then wire, and then wire some more, rewire this, fix that. Yeah, but I think we're finally getting to the point that it should fire up. I don't have water in the radiator. I still want to lower the connection point on the front pipe, and I don't have power steering fluid in the power steering system yet. I need to make the hoses that run to the hydro boost. So if it does fire up, I can't run it, but we can at least listen to it bark off. Now right now I got the fuel lines disconnected. I want to prime the pump, make sure that we got fuel flowing through it. Well, there we go. All right, we got steady fuel. All right, we'll shut that down. Now I can connect the fuel line itself to the injectors. And we will see. I have to probably prime it a couple of times, make sure it's running through and back to the tank. Hopefully we've got everything we need. As far as I know, we've got ignition. That'd be the other one that we don't have for some reason. But I can't think of any reason why we wouldn't have ignition. It's connected directly to the ignition source. So, should have power going to it unless something else in the system, the computer's stopping it. Oh, I did get the throttle hooked up too. Alright, so let's prime the key a couple of times. Oops. Alright. I got fuel pumping out over here, so we've got an injector disconnected or something. All over. Hold on. Ronan, you want to hand me that flashlight and turn the key for me?
Where is it?
The flashlight's right in there. Alright, I gotta figure out what that fitting goes to on the top of the fuel rail. I do not know. Shouldn't be a fuel return. The return's down there. Alright, we got questions to answer. Problems, more problems. Alright, had a moment of panic there. So it turned out that the fitting was the fuel rail pressure release. And my buddy had been using it for a fuel gauge connection and to remove the Schrader valve from it. And kind of a little bit dejected because nobody had a Schrader valve, and of course it's not an off-the-shelf item, and I didn't have any fittings that would plug it and all that good stuff. And then I remembered I had an old fuel rail system off of a 6.0 sitting over in the on the part shelf, and I robbed it from the Schrader. Worked like a champ. We are good to go. So we're going to try to start it up again. And we're going to see if this works. Cross our fingers. Hope to die kind of thing. Ah, check that out. Try it again, one more time. All right, I would suspect that it will idle if we let it get a couple more shots. It's been sitting for quite some time, but I can't let it run too long. Just because I don't have the fuel, I'm sorry, I'm so excited. Woohoo! Alright, I don't have the power steering hooked up, and I don't have a radiator fluid in it. So we'll fix those two things tomorrow and see if we can't get a good idle on it. And then we can start connecting brakes, steering. My buddy Mike's gonna be over tomorrow. He's gonna help me with some sheet metal work and some different things like that. We got like 18 days left. Tomorrow is the 30th of August, and I have to leave the 18th of September. So yeah, we got very few days left to finish all of this out. I got the front fenders, the headlights that need to be done. We got sheet metal in the back that needs to be done. The top needs to be mounted. The seats need to be mounted. Steering finished, brakes bled, just anything. And if we end up with any more problems, leaks and stuff like that, it's gonna get dicey real quick. I know like the transmission fluid fill stick, the dipstick, is leaking, and so I've got to see about pulling it back out and getting an O-ring for it and putting some sealant on it, stuffing it back in there. And of course none of it's easy. It was a tight fit to get it in there, so I don't know why it's leaking. That O-ring must have just been bad. But all right, exciting stuff. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? We are back at it. As you can hear, the shop's pretty noisy right now. I am trying to figure out why this light's not working. Working on instrument cluster. I had two of them. I'm trying to gain parts from both of them to get one good working one. And then from here, I'm gonna work on finishing up steering. I gotta make power steering lines first. Not power steering, I guess actually it's just my Hydro Boost lines. So we can fill that. Then I'm gonna finish the coolant system, cutting that piece off and welding on it. That'll let me finish filling up everything for the motor so we can get it running. Longer than a couple of seconds.
Mike's from Mike's Man Cave. What are you doing today?
Doing some arts and crafts today. Today we're cutting out some metal. We're making patch panels for the side of the rat rod. That way it looks pretty when it goes down the road. I'm trying to make it pretty. All right, and while we're working inside, we got Ronan out here working on the seats. He is washing them, getting them ready, making them all pretty, and the nice thing is they should be flea and tick free, because when he grabbed the soap, he accidentally grabbed the dog soap and is dog shampooing the seats with flea and tick shampoo. We didn't realize that until he was going with it, but on the bright side, we should have no fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, anything. How's it going, Ronan?
It's hot out here.
That's all you gotta say is it's hot, not going good. Seats are looking pretty.
Well, the seats are looking good.
All right. And they're gonna be nice and flea free. Because he grabbed the wrong soap. But he's doing a good job. So that's all that matters. All right, there goes the Ronan cam. All right guys, here we are working on the rat rod, trying to get it ready for the rat rod build off. Taking a break from what I was doing because the panels were starting to get hot, starting to blow some holes in them, so I wanted to let the metal cool down. You know, doing a little bit of man-style arts and crafts. Body work, welding in some metal, making the rat rod all pretty. And we got Glenn over here riding the struggle bus today.
No, I got off at my stop.
It was a short bus stop.
I was riding the struggle bus. Power steering lines, or not power steering, they're actually hydro boost coming off the power steering pump. I was able to make the high pressure feed, but the return, we've got the wrong, I'm missing a fitting. I thought I ordered it, but I got 2 of the bigger size instead of the smaller one. But we'll get it ordered and then we'll make the high pressure line. I've got to get some T fittings since we're using a different line than I originally thought. But once those are done, then we'll be able to start and run the system. Right now I'm going to switch to working on steering and get the steering column connected to the steering box. Hopefully we got all the right parts for it. We'll find out.
And the build continues. We will update you later. Good day, nice and hot, but we're getting some work done, and that's it. It's coming along nicely.
What's up, guys? So we went to lunch, making good progress. I'm working on the last piece of the steering. This is going to have my slip in it. I need to weld this into this end, make sure I got the proper length, and then we'll be able to bolt it in and have steering from the steering wheel all the way out. I've got Ronan over there scuffing some stuff up for me, so we can get some paint in there here in the not too distant future. And Mike, he can tell you what he's up to.
All right, I'm doing some more body work, doing some panels. I've been trimming this piece. Started with a paper template, trying to kind of match this side over here. And patching this hole right here, that way it looks uniform, looks good, have body work, you know, more arts and crafts types of stuff. And that's pretty much it for us. Ronan looks like he's having fun. Having fun, Ronan? See, he could be playing video games, but he's being way cooler and working on a rat rod. And Glenn's getting ready to weld and grind, and we'll be back later.
The question is, how square is it? Treat it like one of my drive shafts.
Square as an oval in a round hole.
That should be alright.
Won't be able to see it from my house.
We'll just be dinging this a little bit that way. Let's grab a hammer. Bend her a little bit.
Because when it's not straight, you know, straighten with a hammer is the best thing you can do.
Because that's what you do to your steering. Look, that's going to be pretty good. All right, she's going in final.
In case y'all didn't hear him, he said that's hot. Just in case y'all didn't know, that welding stuff makes it hot.
It looks good. That's the better side. That's my good side. The paint's gonna make that side look bad.
Paint fixes a lot.
No, I don't mind. It always makes my welding look bad. All right, moment of truth. Will she steer? She steers.
Steering is a plus.
Steering is a plus, and don't feel like it steers any worse than it did when it was in the Jeep, too. I got no head.
I was looking and looked down.
All right, well, the Headless Horseman was talking to you.
You can see just the top of your, or like a little bit of your head. And now we got Ronan painting.
Painting's fun.
Painting is definitely fun.
When you
Better than
don't-
video games, isn't it?
When you don't swallow it.
Yeah, definitely don't swallow it, buddy.
All right, I will finish weld this out real quick. Get the welder and helmet back to Mike.
I'm done with the welding.
Oh, that's right, you're drunk.
I'm now a grinder. I hate grinding. But I'm doing
That's why you decided to be a good welder?
exactly why I became a welder, so I don't have to be a grinder.
Either a good welder or a good grinder, one of the two, but not both.
You should
I
see
am an
Glenn's
artist with a
grinder.
grinder.
He is amazing with a grinder.
I am an artist. All right, what was, what is, and what will be. So, I'm working on finalizing the brakes. Got to connect all that. Should connect pretty easily. Everything's in about the right spot. I've got this cut. We need to get the hose put on it. We have steering. So, steering wheel connected to the leg bone all the way down to the rod bone down there. Ronan did some painting for me. So we got this all painted up with the seats in here, and when we do the rest of the floor, all that should look pretty darn good. This back here will eventually get rhino lined. And Mike, he's been working hard on getting the patch panels in place. We'll be able to finalize the cuts on those here pretty soon. It's always nice to be able to bring in another fabricator that actually knows what he's doing. You can turn them loose and then walk away, rather than having to try to teach somebody to do it. That's why I usually end up working alone. All right, guys, I'm closing up. It's been a long week. I'm gonna go spend some time this evening with my son, hang out, watch a movie or something. It's been a good week though. We've gotten a lot done. This fender's not mounted, but just gives you an idea of what it's gonna look like at full slam with the fenders on it. Motor runs. Actually runs pretty good at this point. Starts right up. Idles right down. Got old 50 psi's on the oil pressures. So we've run it enough to get the rear radiator up to about 110 degrees. Not enough to kick the fans on yet, so I do need to let it run. We want to keep checking getting air out. So we'll have to get into all that. We'll have to drive it, make sure it's not going to overheat. A little concerned on the computer. It says it wants a VSS signal. I've got a VSS generator, but the generator's 8K per mile. The computer wants 4K per mile. We'll see if that does any fuel cutoff issues or whatnot at speed. And then we got lots to do yet. Front fenders, lights, seats, a little bit of body work yet. Not a lot. We got the rear panels in down here. I got that one. It doesn't look too bad. That one actually kind of hides. You really don't notice it. This one's a little more apparent. Probably need to get some white on it like I did the other, or scratch it up a little more. I got to do something. I didn't have the right paint, obviously. I don't know what color this is, or I don't think it was a Jeep color. I think it was a custom color. But I would have had to go get it color matched and then hope it worked. And for the little bit that we had to do, I just grabbed some cans and went to town. But it's getting there. Brakes need to be bled, but they're all connected. And transmission, I need to fix the leak in the fill. But once that's fixed, it should be okay. I know it needs fluid, but that means it's got fluid back to the cooler. Yeah, I got a big list. This is all coming up next week. I got 2 weeks left of fab. But I got to finish the gas can lids. We got to do the fuel fill, finish the fenders, connect the lights, or build mounts and connect the lights, do the tailgate. The top just has to be bolted on. I'm not currently doing any work to it. The valance has to be bolted up. The trans cover needs to be finished. We need a gauge mount, an ECU mount. The rad overflow needs to be mounted. Wiring, we need to wire up the tail lights, the headlights, all of the wiring's there, all of the connectors, everything works. I've just got to get them in all the right locations, and like on the tail lights, they have to be connected to the tail lights on the rig. So it's a matter of clipping and splicing wires. The gauges all have to be wired up. I have to loom and zip tie everything. Seats and seat belts. We got to paint the floor, which doesn't have to be done. Attach the shifter. I managed to get it. It's so close for the stock shifter working, but it doesn't. Shifter knob. I've got something. We just need to drill and tap it. We need to fix the trans fill tube. I already covered that. One of the airbags leaks down. I think I was messing with the fitting and broke it loose. So I need to pull that bag and tighten it up. We need to do a bolt check. Make sure the air lines are attached to the body underneath. The speedo cable and VSS are in. The speedo cable needs to be attached to the speedometer, and the VSS attached to the computer. And we talked about the possible problem with it. What I'll do is either put a switch or a connector in these. I'll probably just do a quick weather pack connector and make sure that if this gives me trouble in the fuel cutoff, I can just disconnect it. And then the hydro boost lines, I'm waiting on fittings, and they'll be done. So close. I'm very excited. I hope you all have enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, help the channel out. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a good one.